just afterwards. Is that you said?
Yeah.
Nice to see you. Obviously, we've got Andy from the BBC as well. Go after that. Anything under immediate embargo we'll do at that point. We'll have a second embargo for the newspapers 10:30 p.m. this evening. A lot of faces, a lot of new faces. So if you can identify yourselves when you're asking your question, just so we know who we're talking to, we don't appear rude. Cameras happy? We'll start with James.
Good afternoon, Thomas. You said after the Watford game that this year's been a crazy season, but did that last-minute winner against Watford kind of just show the strong mentality of the group you've got here at Brentford?
I think it's a very good example. Thank you, James. I agree. I try to think about the more than 3.5 years I've been in charge here, that I don't think that we haven't had that many last-minute winners, and then we play our first season in Premier League and we have 3, which is remarkable for any team in the Premier League. But I think definitely when it's a newly promoted side. This group of players is a remarkable group. It's a culture that's been created within the group, help from me, the coaching staff, everyone involved as a staff member, because you can only create it together. I always say to the players that I can push together with all the other staff members, the culture or the performance level up to 85-90%, but the last magical 10% is within the group. And that's about the right characters you have in the group, and these players are phenomenal.
3 victories in a row. Do you feel like you're pretty safe now from any possibility of relegation?
Of course, I agree. I look to look at the table once in a while. I think it's not worth using too much time on that, because you can't change that. It's a snapshot, and then it changes next week and so on. I look at the performances, and the next game, I was actually only thinking it was an average performance against Watford. So I hope we can perform even better against Tottenham. We want to focus on tomorrow and see what we can do and end as high as possible. Instead of thinking we are safe, we never talked about that the whole season. Only talked about next game and end as high as possible, and that's still the aim.
And as you mentioned, Tottenham next. Antonio Conte was singing your praises yesterday. Described you as one of the managers of the season. What's that feel like to receive such praise?
Nice. I didn't know that. I'm actually not good enough to read the other press news. Chris needs to inform me once in a while. Of course, it's always nice to. I don't think I know one human being, if they're truly honest, that don't like to get a little bit of praise. So thank you, I can say to Antonio. I think we've done well. I agree on that. Would like to do even more, and I can give a little bit praise back. As I said that before, I think Antonio is a fantastic manager, and definitely in the latest 10 years, one of the most successful and very clear in his philosophy and how he want to do things, and been winning a lot of titles and a lot of games. So looking forward to face him.
Have you noticed how he's changed Tottenham since his arrival?
Yeah, I think simple thing. I think the intensity of the game went up since he took over in the way they press, and then he's doing a classic Conte with his back 3 and wing backs. As then it depends on the types he got. Either he got, like, let's say in Inter or with the Italian national team, and he also started to try to do that he never did that in Chelsea, sorry. But if he got 3 midfielders and 2 good strikers, then he liked that formation, the 3-5-2. If not, if he got 2 good 10s like he have in Song and Kulusevski, then he plays in a 3-4-3. So the patterns are very clear, structured, but easier said than done to close it down.
He also said in his conference that he would love to work with Christian again. Is that a concern, listening to that other managers are praising Christian and are potentially looking at working to him in the future? Because obviously, I know you want to keep him here at Brentford. Does that concern you, or is that just natural to hear that from another manager?
The funny thing, what will happen if you say no, I don't want to work with him? Do you think he would do that? No, I don't think he will. So, of course, he said that in many ways because obviously he enjoyed to work with him, and Christian is a fantastic player. But I know that I'll answer this question from now to the end of the season, and hopefully we are ending signing him, or if he sign another club. It is what it is. I want to focus on now and try to prepare the team and Christian to the game, and hopefully make him flourish tomorrow and perform well and beat Tottenham. But I think we went into this with open eyes, and this is the outcome we hope for, that he performed fantastic and we perform well. And the other outcome is that we hope we continue after the summer.
How's he feeling preparing for Tottenham? Is he looking forward to that? Is there an extra special bit for Christian to prove something maybe?
Yeah, I don't know what to prove. I just think he literally just look forward to play Tottenham. He's a lot of old teammates, a lot of staff members he worked closely together with for 7 years of his life. This is where he went from being a very talented footballer in Ajax to be a world-class midfielder, one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. So, yeah, maybe it's not me that needs to answer that question. He probably needs to answer that himself, but most likely, and I know he enjoyed the time there. So, but I know one thing, he looking forward to see them, but he want to do the very best to try to beat them. Of course, he want to compete.
Finally from me, yesterday Manchester United announced that Eriksen is going to be taking over next season. Just wanted to ask you what you made of that appointment. Is he a manager you admire, and are you looking forward to going up against him next season?
I think it's looking from the outside, look like an interesting appointment. It's maybe not for me to say. I've only been here in the Premier League for a year, but I would like to welcome him in the Premier League. I expect and think he'll do a good job. I think he's done a very good job at Ajax. What impressed me the most, his recent results in. I know they went out to Benfica, but in general, the result they did with Ajax, and lost, funny enough, to Tottenham a few years ago in a crazy semi-final. That is very impressive. Hopefully he can help Man United. You're welcome.
Hi Thomas.
Hi.
Hi
Seb.
Another question on Christian Eriksen. Antonio Conte mentioned that when Eriksen first arrived at Milan, he didn't play much at the start because it took time for him to adapt to a different midfield position, because he was used to playing as a number 10 at Tottenham. What do you think is his main strength? What's the best position he needs to play? Is it the position you're playing him in now, or do you think he's still got that variety in the midfield?
Good question. I think Christian is a very intelligent player that can play in I would say all three midfield positions, depending on what team and what types that is around him. One thing for sure, you need to find a position where he can get on the ball and dictate the game, because he can take the temperature of the game and play quick and get tempo in, or you can take the tempo out. And then of course he got that eye for the final pass, that's very few have. So I think if you play a 8 or 10, if we talk about those two positions, he can play both. And in spells, you could definitely also play a double sitter, I think. I see that.
One more from me on the game against Tottenham. Brighton were in a similar position to you at the table. They managed to beat Tottenham. You've beaten Chelsea and West Ham. Brighton have beaten Arsenal and Tottenham. Do you feel like these teams like Brentford and Brighton that have nothing much to play for really now, do you think like you've got this natural instinct in your squad to go and disrupt that race for the top 4 at the top?
In terms of do you want to perform, or?
Yeah, is it something maybe the players think of when they're playing one of these top 4 teams? Do they feel like maybe they want to, there's an extra determination to kind of...
Understand, yeah. For me, no matter who we face in the Premier League, we should be bang on it. And maybe if you've been here for 10 years, then maybe you drop your. You shouldn't do that, but your focus on no matter who if you play a lower level team, whatever. But I think it's natural, especially the first season, or when you face some of the best teams in the world, the best players, you're naturally stepping up your game. I can say for us tomorrow, I expect what we've done the whole season actually, especially at home, coming out, flying, and in spells. I know we will dominate in spells. Even that is in 2 minutes or 5 minutes or 10 minutes. I know we will. Hopefully with some aggressive, high pressure, and hopefully also can control a little bit on the ball. So we look very much forward to it.
Andy, TBC.
Hi, Andy.
As mentioned there, you've had some amazing London derby results this season with Arsenal, Chelsea, West Ham. What would it mean to add Tottenham to that list? Get a win over Spurs?
Yeah, I think that will be full house more or less. So of course we would like to do that. I know we're facing Tottenham. They're fighting for the Champions League spot. I think they've been on a very, very good run of form until Brighton disrupted it. That means they can go two ways. Either they can drop, which I don't think they will under Conte, so most likely they will come flying out. That's why this task is probably the biggest we faced so far, because of what is on stake and their mindset and the way they will approach the game. But that's just make it even more fun and more interesting. I think if we can go out there and top perform, we'll have a good chance. I know that. I know we are difficult to play against. I know that. Conte know that. It's not the same that we're going to win, but we'll do our very best. And if we top perform, I think we have a good chance.
I think it's 5 wins out of 6 for you at the moment. That's very rare that a promoted team can put together that sort of run. How proud are you of what the players have done to do that?
Very proud, very proud, and feel very privileged to be part of this journey, this club's development. I think every staff member, every player works so hard to make us compete in the best league in the world, and then we managed to win 5 out of 6. And the best thing is that 4 of them fully deserved. Watford, maybe a draw, but if there should have been a winner, okay, maybe it should still be us. And I think actually we deserve to get something out of the Leicester game. So that makes me, very, very, very pleased.
And obviously Brighton did find a way of stopping Tottenham in attack pretty much. Did you take anything from what they did?
Yeah, of course I looked into that game and saw what they did. They definitely managed to close down Tottenham's play, so they almost didn't create anything. I think we all know if you can stop Kane and Song, then you are a really good step down the line. It's not like there's 9 other players, of course, in the team, but can we take out their main threat? That will be a big thing, but it's easier said than done. Of course, we want to try.
And just finally from me, I bet there's not many Brentford fans who would have watched a game against Tottenham at home. It was 1949, the last time it happened. I know that there's been a lot of moments this season where things haven't happened for a long time, but that must be a real big thing for Brentford as a club, but also for the fans to welcome Tottenham to your ground. Another history we're going to write tomorrow, no matter what. And yeah, I know I repeat myself, but I feel really privileged to be part of this journey where we are facing top teams and we are competing. And imagine we could add another chapter in terms of a win against Tottenham. That will be absolutely remarkable. And one thing is for sure, we'll be on it and we'll do our very best to win. Thank you.
Anyone else for anything under immediate embargo?
Yeah, just quickly. Sorry, Thomas. We've got team news ahead of the game. I know there was a few injury concerns with Ethan and
Yeah. Sanka out, Ethan out.
And how long do you think they expect them to be?
Sanka rest of season, Ethan hopefully only a couple of weeks. So that means I think United will be borderline, but let's see.
And any other concerns at all?
What was it? Sergio was out last week. He's still out, unfortunately.
Still out?
Yeah, still out.
Hamstring.
Yeah, hamstring. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. and then we'll see afterwards.
Hi, Sean.
So Brentford and Spurs are probably the two teams in the league who have benefited most from January signings. Sales with Eriksen, Spurs with Eriksen, Bentancur. Obviously, we talked a lot here about Christian's impact, and we spoke a little bit about how Conte has changed Spurs. If you made of Kulusevski and Bentancur at Spurs, what would you think that changes to brought to the side?
Kulusevski, I think he's been a good player for them. Obviously made some goals and some brilliant assists. And of course I looked into the team. I personally like Mora a lot. I think he's a very good player. But I'm not working with them every day. Obviously Kulusevski have stepped into the team, and I think with being a left footer, also the way you want to play with balls around the corner and coming from the right, going inside, give another thing, and maybe he just trust him better or more in what he want. I think Bentancur done well, but I think there's other good players in there as well. For me, I don't think, looking from the outside, of course I've looked at the last couple of games, but I haven't seen him being much different to some of the other good players they have in the midfield.
So we spoke about Spurs still fighting for Champions League spot, and they've been on a really good run until that Brighton game. Do you see them as a Champions League standard team, or do you still think they've got a lot left to improve in that regard?
I think Tottenham is a fantastic team. When we just spoke about 3 years ago, they went to the final and lost it. I think the team is full of very good players, and obviously their front two / front three is one of the best in the league. You know, clearly in terms of numbers.
And just one from me, Ivan Toney and Harry Kane are level goal scoring charts right now. Do you think there's an extra bit of motivation on Ivan's side to finish the season as top scoring Englishman and to really show on the pitch tomorrow?
Good question. If I know him well, yes. Definitely, no doubt about that. I think for Ivan, he just want to score as many as possible, and a little bit. Can I score a goal or two next game, and then next game, and then we see where it takes us in the end. But if he score tomorrow and Harry don't score, I think that's a nice little story in the story. You're welcome. Hi, Uzi.
Obviously the defeat at Tottenham back in December probably held one of you were at the most memorable nights in charge. What did you from that night? What have you learned from that coming into tomorrow?
I watched the game back, of course, the last couple of days. The interesting thing, Tottenham won fair and square, no doubt about that. I actually think in many ways we played a fine game. Our organised defence, high pressure, low block, they almost created zero things. We concede on a set piece, which we of course is impossible to concede on tomorrow if we want to win. And we had a bad spell, and that was in that spell starting with Tottenham. And I think after that game we won against, was it Leeds or Watford, I can't remember. But it was in that period where we conceded, I think, 7 or 8 set piece goals in 10 games, crazy. But touch wood, we've been very good in terms of not conceding set pieces the last quite a long spell. So that is need to take out of the equation. And then the main bit they created from was transitions. And we need to avoid that. We can't have them running at us, and we're not because we didn't track back, but it gives them too much space. So can we take the big transition chances out? Then I think we're not far off a reasonable performance.
And also Tottenham will be under quite intense pressure, especially with Arsenal and Manchester United playing each other in the early kick-off tomorrow, both of whom also have top 4 aspirations. Does that sort of play into your hands, given that all the pressure is going to be on Tottenham? You can just play your game.
I agree. There's much more pressure on in terms of the one specific game. Much more pressure on Tottenham, of course, in their battle. And I'm not saying this because of mind game, but I definitely know what you guys will write on Sunday if we manage to beat Tottenham. That'll be a catastrophe for Tottenham. But I don't think it's something they can't
I don't think they're not sleeping tonight, Conte and all the players. I think they are professionals. They go into the game. They know what they're facing. A good Brentford team where they need to be up to their absolutely max to beat us. And of course they can win the game, but I also massively believe if we top perform, we can win.
And also, you're also going up against obviously Kane and Son, arguably the most deadly duo in the league. I mean, what do you think plan to see?
Kick them down, I think. No, can't do that. Maybe once or twice, and then we'll probably get a yellow card. Now, of course, we know that Kane. I think that's everyone knows that Kane is can dictate his passing, and his crosses for Son is remarkable. But obviously also Kane in the box and his finishing. If you give him a chance, I think he's one of the most clinical. Is not the word. I know we always look for that, but I like to see quality finisher. You know, both feet is so aware how to pass us into the net. And if you give Son two things: one, space to run into, then he is potentially the most deadly finisher in the league.
From the Danish newspaper Politiken. After his performances, Christian Eriksen will be spoiled for choices in this summer, and some of the clubs will be able to offer him more money, maybe even the prospect of playing Champions League. What is the case for staying at Brentford? What is it that this club has to offer that some of the others might not?
I think you're bang on that if it's for money or Champions League, obviously, then we can't compete. I know that Christian this moment in time enjoy his football, and I'm happy that he's enjoying playing here. Hopefully he likes the environment, the atmosphere we have in the club. And if he chooses us in the end, I hope he does it because he's ambitious and want to end as high as possible and push himself and the team. So I think it's also important that the squad, some players in the squad, of course. I think that means something, definitely, and also. The role here, obviously, he got a big role. The team is more and more. In these days, it's never a one-man band. You know that. Even Man City is not only De Bruyne, if he's the main playmaker. So you need more than one player. But of course, there's a lot of things that will go through Christian. So I guess that's some of the bits.
And we can see what impact he has on the pitch, but we can't see if he has an impact outside of the pitch, on the training ground, in the dressing room. Could you maybe tell a bit about how he has been? I think I read an interesting article about that he eats with different players each day to give them advice.
I think that I don't know if it's just to give him advice, but it's true that at lunch you never see him only sit. Yeah, okay. If you look over the whole week, maybe he's sitting more with Christian Nørgaard, Matthijs Jensen, and Pontus Jansson because there's a little bit of Scandinavian group. But I think he's one of the players that is the best at sitting with different groups, ages, old, young, different nationalities, and I think that's fantastic. I don't know if it's down to his personality. I think that's a big part of it. He is a very open-minded person. But he's also a European person, so he's been lived in different countries, played for different clubs, facing a lot of nationalities throughout his career. And then I think he's just generally interested in people.
Right, anything else before we go delay? Dan?
Hamstring, yeah. Hamstring, yeah. That's still that ligament in the ankle. He's still out. And that could be end of season, but let's see.
Jay?
Yeah, I just wanted to double check on Zanka, because I remember asking you last week, you didn't quite know what the injury was.
Yeah.
It was a muscle one. Do you know what it is now?
Yeah, it's a muscle up in around the adductor around there, a muscle thing. Yeah.
Is it the same issue that you had
No,
Or,
another one.
so, and double?
Yeah.
Thank you. Does
Yeah.
that mean with Deepa now and Zanka out that we're likely to see Mads Bech Sorensen start tomorrow?
Maybe, unless we go to or continue in a back four.
And then just my final question for this section, just wanted to double check in on Sergi as well. I know he's out for a few weeks, but how's he getting on with that?
Yeah, a few weeks.
Still a few weeks?
Still a few weeks, yeah.
Thank you.
Media, or do you want to go under embargo?
Hi Thomas, Sam from Sports Gazette. This is your fourth possessive London derby. You've won the last three. What do you think your success in London is down to this season?
That's a good question. A little bit of coincidence, I think. I think we hit that good form for various reasons. A couple of things. No injuries to key players. I think that's been big. And I think also we've been quite consistent in performances throughout the season. And now we just hit that run where all the good performers actually going into good results as well. And then that just add a little bit more confidence, and then we're going from there.
And my final one is, given your success in London derbies this season, are you delighted that Fulham have got promoted?
I'm very pleased that Fulham is promoted, and I hope for QPR. For me, of course, there's more special with London derbies. I think for Brentford fans, I think it will be, now we know that Fulham is promoted. That's definitely a game that I look forward to, and myself as well. I've been here long enough to experience some quite interesting derbies against Fulham. So that'll be. I'm looking forward to that home and away.
You mentioned earlier about how you need to stop transitions when you're facing Tottenham. In particular, how do you plan on in particular stopping those transitions? Where do you see the root of that in that Tottenham side?
There's no doubt that there's different kind of transitions. I think if we are attacking high, then we'll have worked a lot of on what I call rest defending, how we lock on to our opponents, but always a +1. Then there's these more little bit in the middle of the pitch open play situations where if we lose the ball there's just only one thing: drop, get under, so we not get played through too early, too mainly sung. So I would say those are the two big transition threat we've been working on to avoid.
Right, so everything now. Yep, go on.
Please. You mentioned that one of the elements to convince Eriksen to stay would be the ambition. Can you just tell us where you set your ambition as soon as next season?
I hope he is ambitious.
Okay.
I hope he is ambitious if he chose us.
But that means if he's ambitious, that means you're expecting Brentford to do better in the next few seasons.
Yes.
So where do you see yourself as soon as next season?
Yeah, let me finish this season first. Then I'll speak about that afterwards. But I hope, honestly, like we've done all the years, we can hope we can add extra layers. I'm very aware that next season can be a fight for relegation. It can be a fight for top half. It can be you never know. I think the difference between number 20 up to 8, 7 is like this. So I think everything is possible.